he joins us live here on our big broadcast. So, what are you hoping that people get out of this book?
Oh, I think that we're pretty much ready for, in fact, we're overripe to getting information where we can empower ourselves. Part of the thing that got me started on this journey was examining the reason why we, or I say our ancestors, went on this temple building binge around the world. I mean, there are tens of thousands of sites everywhere, and not just the impressive stuff in Egypt. I'm talking about simple things like dolmens and standing stones throughout Europe and Siberia, going all the way to China. Why were they doing this? And one of the reasons that I finally figured out, and it's written on one of the temple walls in Egypt, it said, we're kind of building this as an insurance policy so that when people forget that they are the temple, they can come here and remind themselves. And I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting, but how does that break down in terms of logistics? Well, it turns out that the temples that they built, in terms of the harmonics, the choice of stone, the manipulation of the local gravity field and the electromagnetic environment, it's all done to induce a certain state of consciousness. And that is to bring your body down so you can stop thinking and start feeling. And once you get yourself into that state, you're tapped into a natural reference library. And under the right conditions, if you just do this often enough with honesty, it's like driving your car. You suddenly walk out of these places and you feel really good about yourself. But also, you've received information which pops through in dreams, in conversations, in coincidences. There's a real magic going on. And I find people being empowered by this. And I think that's what it comes down to. Because many people like the Indians and the Egyptians said that, an incarnation is a spiritual death. You forget where you've come from. You certainly forget why you came here. And then you spend half of your life listening to radio shows, reading books, watching Gaia television and all kinds of other outlets in order to figure out who you are and why you came here. And the simple answer is that they left us the tools right in front of our very eyes. And that's why these temples around the world, they mark the X where the currents of the earth behave in a certain way that creates these vortices that allow you to then leave the body and come back fully informed. In fact, I was just thinking about this PR release from NASA in 2008, which I've completely grilled into my head because they used the word portals in the press release. And they said, there are these magnetic portals on the face of the Earth that rise from the face of the Earth, and they open every 16 minutes. And about 1,000 miles above the Earth, they connect with the solar wind, forming these X spots. And then they continue on to the sun and possibly way beyond that. And I thought, that's amazing that we have the technology now to make these portals visible. But here's the best part. The Vedas in southern India had written about this 12,000 years ago, using very different language, which you have to decipher, but the metaphors are very applicable. They describe energy in the form of serpents or dragons, which is exactly the way that they behave, they meander. So there's a very practical thing to be applied here, and our ancestors, I think, foresaw the need in the 21st century to a race that had basically turned its back on nature and lost the plot, and I think that pretty much describes where we are today.